All right, today we're going to have the Edeuoey ultralight double hammock. This is a very budget-friendly hammock. Stick around, I'll show you more. Hi everyone. I received some email from a company that produces this particular hammock. This hammock is the Edeuoey. It is available on Amazon, and they get $27.99 for it. Now, when I first got the email, I kind of hesitated, but I followed through as I normally do and let them at least present their case and show me what they had to offer. And upon looking at the hammock, it was like, I've seen this many times before, and I've reviewed a number of these. Maybe I didn't want to do it, but I did do a little more reading into the specs on the thing, and I did find that there were a couple things that I saw there on the page that kind of led me to want to take a look at it. I mean, not every hammock I get and look at ever gets reviewed. I use a lot that don't get reviewed at all. They're just not worth it. But this one's a little bit different. Let me get my cheaters out here, and I'll give you the specs on it that I've got before we go out and actually look at the hammock. They actually call this thing the super lightweight camping hammock. Super lightweight, I don't know if I would call it that, but for a double, it is a double hammock, and it's actually an double plus. It's an oversized double hammock. Yeah, it's not too bad. Let's get down to the sort of materials. It's made of the 210T nylon parachutes fabric, the stuff we've all come to know and seen for many, many years. It's not ripstock or anything like that, but you know, this keeps the prices where they are. The measurements are 118 inches long and 79 inches wide. The 79 inches wide is what really got me. That is 6 feet 7 inches. That's a lot of hammock side to side, and I just felt that that's going to give a lot of room for comfort, a lot of things to work with. So that was the first thing that got me into wanting to take this hammock. The second thing is the color. I don't know why, it's just black and blue, but the color struck me, and that's what I kind of wanted to take a look at. I like the way it looked. Now, they do tell me this comes in a number of other colors, but at this point in time, they're all sold out. This is the only one still available. Others will come up in the future, though. This thing packs down to 4.7 inches by 7.5 inches by 8.7 inches. Get that off the website. You can see the way I've got it stuffed. It's not going to meet those measurements. The weight on it they call for without the straps on it is 1.4 pounds. This is actually weighed in on my scale at 1.35 pounds. So that's not bad. I mean, it's light for a double, especially if it's double wide. The total weight is 2.3 pounds with the straps, and this came in right at about that weight. The straps are 10 feet long. They are 16 daisy chain hoops, and it has one hoop at the other end. They do offer a 6-month unconditional return. If you're not happy with it after 6 months, up to 6 months, you can return it. Again, those are what they say. Whatever actually happens is something that you just have to find out. Hopefully that you get something like this, you'll be happy with it, and we'll never find out what that is. Anyhow, I want to get this out here. I want to get it set up, and then we'll have a good look at what we've got here, and then I can point out some of the things features that kind of got my interest. I've spent some time with it, and I'm kind of impressed with it, especially for $27.99. I will leave links down below, by the way, for this particular hammock and for their store page on Amazon, because that's when, if you want a different color, that's when you'll have to look for those. And I will be leaving a few other links down there for things that we will be discussing out here. And before we hit the patio out here and set this thing up, I wanted to thank the people at Edeuoey for sending this hammock out for our consideration. Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, there it is in all its glory. And the very first thing you're going to say is the same thing that I said when I first saw this thing, and that is that it just looks like any other budget hammock that's been put out there with the parachute material and what have you. And you'd be right. It basically is. I mean, you've got to work with this kind of stuff in order to keep these prices down. If they tried to make it all custom, that would run that price right up there. But there are a couple things on this hammock that make it worth reviewing, so you can have a look at the things that they've done, a couple of things. And We may be seeing those in other production versions of these. I don't know, but I do know that this is the first one I've seen with this particular arrangement, and it makes it more comfortable and such to work with. But first, let's start up here with the straps. We'll just work our way back down the hammock, and we'll get to the things that I need to show you. I want to show you the differences on. We're using the daisy chain here. We've got a 10-foot daisy chain thing on both ends. Color on this is orange, and I don't know if all of them are going to be orange, but this particular one is. We're looking at about 3.5 to 4 inches gap here. It's got 16 of these links down here, and it has a single link up at the other end for wrapping it around the trees. Right here we've got a steel carabiner, a little heavy, and any of you have seen these before, you know that how heavy these can be, but they're strong and sturdy as can be. The best part about it is we don't have the sharp edges on here that we're binding on here, snagging the straps, or when it was packed away, it was catching on the material, and in some cases was damaging them. So we're not seeing that with these. These are worth keeping on here if you're not going to be worried about weight. Another thing we've got here is the standard rope you see on all these things. It's nicely tied with multiple ties here. This one does not have the beehive look to it like most of the ones I've been looking at lately, but it's nice, and it gives us a little gap here to mount things like underquilts and what have you on it. So, and even a ridge line. So this is a little better tie off than we've been seeing. As for the sewing, it is triple stitched all the way around, quite uniform. It's even all the way around. I would imagine they probably got a sewing machine that just does all three at one time. That's how you keep the uniformity. Perfection? Probably not. A few little straight ends here, but they're just straight ends hanging out. They're not. There's only a few of them. They're not the threads coming loose or anything like that. So it's quite adequate. We've got on the sides here, it's been hemmed. And it's a single stitch here. And as we look at the two color matches here when they're sewn together, we've got triple stitching here too, because there is stress on that. But here's where some of the difference lies on this hammock. This is not a real wide swatch of color here. I mean, it's what, about 10 inches wide. As a result of that, what we have is a condition where, and let me set this and reposition this camera for you a little bit. We have on the conventional hammocks that we've been seeing for some period of time, we've been finding that this thing here is about twice as wide. And we're getting a seam right in this area here, which means that when you're lying in the hammock, you were lying right on the seam. Your legs would be coming across part of it, the shoulders across the others. That is if you're lying diagonally, as you should be in a hammock. But those things will ride right next to you, and it made it quite uncomfortable. By moving it up the side of the hammock, I mean, giving us a wider base piece of material here, they were allowed to create a condition where we had a lot more comfort. Now that's one of the things that I'm saying I would choose this over some of the older versions we've seen. Now let me move this back a little bit and show you the other reason, and I've already kind of touched on that, but let's look at it anyways. Look at the width on this thing. I can't even stretch it out all the way with my hands. That is 6 feet 7 inches of hammock. That has got to contribute to a lot of comfort. And when I'm lying in this thing diagonally, I have all the room in the world. I could lay this way, totally horizontally in this thing, and it would still give me plenty of room. I'm a little over 5'9". I still have quite a few inches above and below me. Let me get this thing over here and set it up so you can look at it. And, oh yeah, one other thing I did want to point out is the bag, which is normally sewn on here like we see all the time, and it's pretty much the same as all the others, but it is a round bottom on the thing, which contributes to easier storage. It's a little easier to get the hammock in there than it is on a lot of the conventional ones we've been seeing. Let me get this right over here. And I'll get in and we'll talk about it. All right. Now, I spent the last couple nights, a couple evenings in this thing, and truly enjoyed it. And as you can see, still got plenty here, tons here, and I'm sitting at a pretty good 40 degrees, I would say, angle in here. Now, there are the two things that we have on these hammocks that a lot of us don't like and a lot of us are aware of. Now, if you're lying in this direction, you're not going to feel much of it. But in this direction here, you really do, and that is calf ridge. There's a slight bit of calf ridge down there. And I think with it being a wider hammock, it's not as pronounced as it is on other hammocks. For those of you who don't know what calf ridge is, that is, you can see these little folds in here. It's where a few of these folds get real tight, and it runs underneath your calf area and such. And you can kind of kick it out by pushing like so with your feet and such. The other thing is right here, and that is shoulder squeeze. Now, this does not have a lot of shoulder squeeze at all. This is actually acceptable and comfortable this way here. You know, I could live with that, and this amount of calf ridge is really not too bad either. I've spent a couple nights in this thing, one with it just as we see it here, and I wasn't too uncomfortable at all. I mean, it was very comfortable. Another night I did have a ridgeline in it, and the ridgeline did allow me to control the sag a bit more, and it was a bit more comfortable, but I wouldn't say it was a lot more comfortable. It was, I would put a ridgeline on it, but as it is, it's nice. This is very nice, very comfortable. This extra space, this extra material just lends to more comfort in this hammock. All right, now that we've gone through the basics of what this hammock is, and it is a fairly nice hammock for, you know, $27.99. Let's see if there's something we can do to improve this hammock and make it a little better, something a little more conducive to sleeping in out in the woods or what have you. First thing I want to do is add a ridgeline to it. By adding the ridgeline, what we've done is we've now controlled the sag of this hammock. What we did, I just used a piece of paracord in this case, and that's all you need to do if you're going to try one of these, just to find out if you like it or not. And then you can upgrade to something better if you want later. I've got it looped on here, brought it down here, and I've just got a taut line hitch on here. The taut line hitch allows me to adjust this thing. Now, this hammock here being 10 feet long, or just a hair under 10 feet long, it calls for a ridge line of 99.6 inches. And basically the formula is 83% of the length of the hammock, which equates to about 9.96 inches, or 10 inches per foot, okay? I had it set at that point, and I didn't quite like it. It just wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So I took that little taut line hitch, did an adjustment, and I've got it at to about 96 and a half or something like that, maybe 97, right in that area. And now it's comfortable. What we've done is taken this hammock that was pulled taut like this and allowed it to now sag and hang underneath this ridge line. The ridge line has now taken most of that pressure. Let me crawl in here, give you an idea of what we've got here. Yeah, I left my shoes on, but that's okay. It's just for this. Now, you should be able to take this and twist it, and that puts you in a position where it's just about the right tightness for this. Now, lying down in this thing, I'm not feeling any more of that calf ridge I was feeling. And then, of course, as you remember, I had mentioned that we had some shoulder squeeze right here from this side. I'm not feeling that at all at this point in time. It's this helps for it. This works for it. Makes this very comfortable. This has taken most of the stress. Hammock's still taking some, but this here works for me, and I think that anybody who wanted to try this hammock, that this would be advantageous to them, trying to give it a little more comfort out of it, get some of the bad, the negative portions out of it, such as the calf ridge and the shoulder squeeze. This is also going to have another use. You can hang things from it. You could put what I like to do is just take a stuff sack and punch a little hole in the bottom and the corner of it, slide it inside this thing in the sack. Then the sack just hangs down. Now you've got a place to hang stuff. You get yourself a little ridgeline organizer. So you can use it for that. You can use it for hanging a light on it, whatever. There's a lot of uses for it. And I've got something here I'm going to show you too that this will also come in handy for. Now let me get that out for you, and we'll show you what that's going to look like. Here's another thing we can do with this to make this even nicer, and that is to add a bug net. For those of you who live in the buggy areas of the world, and I do here in Southern California at times, a bug net is always a welcome sight on a hammock. And you can hang one on this thing and use it when you want it. When you don't want it, you can take it off, or you can slide it down to the end here and just store it on the line. But with the ridge line in there, it sets the bug net up real nice. Now most bug nets, this one included, comes with a ridge line that you can add to the trees and all. You know, when you get your own ridge line on here, you don't really need it. Let me crawl inside this thing and give you an idea. You can see when I get in there, and I'll take a camera in and show you what it's like from the inside. As you can see, bug net hangs up there real nice. And bug nets not only keep the bugs out, but it'll give you an extra 5 or 6 degrees of temperature inside. So if it's hot out, you got to think about whether you want the bug net or you want to fight the bugs. If it's cooler out, the bug net will definitely give you some more heat in here. Something that's really nice to have. Plus with the ridge line, you can always take something and drape it over the top of that ridge line, and if you get the bug net on here, it'll help keep it suspended, and close the whole thing off and get anywhere from 12 to 15 degrees more heat inside here. Now I did a video a while back on what I called a turnover cover, and I'll leave a link below to that video, and you can look at that. And it basically takes an inexpensive hammock, which is what you could do with this if you decide to buy into the hammock game, and you could just take this and convert it. But it'll show you how to close this thing up inside and give you a lot more warmth inside here during those colder months. Let me get the camera, and we'll bring you back in here. All right, here it is from the inside. One thing I want to warn you guys about: if you're wearing a hat like I'm wearing that has a Velcro adjuster on it with a bug net, don't wear it in it. The Velcro tends to catch on the bug net, so you want to avoid doing that if you can. You can see this thing fits real nice in here, and it has the same feel and look inside this thing as any hammock that has a built-in bug net. And you can see I'm lying nice and flat inside here. This bug net does spread out quite a bit. And since this is an extra wide hammock, you want a bug net that will stretch out a long ways, and this one definitely will. So I guess that kind of pretty much shows you some of the things we can do to these things, and I'm sure that there are a lot of other things that you can do that you can probably recommend to me and some of the other people, and by all means write that down below, share that with people. But these are just a couple ideas to show you that you can upgrade an inexpensive hammock and make it very campable, very comfortable to use. And for those of you that know a little bit about camping in a hammock and what have you, yes, you can put a underquilt under this thing, and it fits very, very nicely. All right, my final thoughts on this hammock. Is it worth the $27.99 that they're asking for it? By all means, yeah, it is. It definitely is. I mean, what's $27.99? That's just pocket change. If you want to buy a hammock and you're going to spend a little money on it, but you don't want to break the bank, you want to stay within a budget, or if you just want to just start out trying what your hammock is like, if you want to see if you really like it, and you don't want to go spend hundreds of dollars in some of those big expensive ones, or you find you don't like it. So, you know, spend the money on something like this. And if you're going to buy one of these, they're all going to be about the same price, within $1 or $2 of this particular price. I don't know what the other ones are like now, because it's been it's been about a year or so, maybe 2, since I've had any of these budget hammocks. I've pretty much shied away from these things and such, because they were all just the same. This is a lot different than those are, and I'm glad I accepted their offer to take a look at it for them. And share it with you folks out there. So if you want to buy a budget hammock, this would be the item to start with. You could then either take this thing and toss it in the car. If you want to use it in the car, you want to go, at the beach or the park or something, the hammock's close by, you grab it, hang it up. The wife and I, we go camping with hammocks. We also go camping in our vintage trailers. And I take a hammock along with me when we go, and I like to hang the hammocks up in the trees in the area. And, I prefer camping in a hammock anytime, even over trailers. But the thing is I take one with me, and I can put it up and snooze in the hammock during the trip out there when we're out camping in the trailers and what have you. It's just a good thing to have. This one's going to go in the truck, and the truck will be the one that tows the trailers, but it'll always be close by until something different comes along. I don't know. I've got one in there now that's like this one here, but it has the seams closer together and it's not quite as wide. So this one here is going to boot that one out, and that one, I have no idea what I'll end up with. I'll probably give it to somebody. But if you want a hammock that's a good entry-level hammock, reasonably priced, and a chance to find out whether you like hammock, or you got a gift for somebody, this would be a great gift. Anyhow, thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you down the road next time. Bye now.